Unexplainable horror. Sinister father exposed for fathering 2 children with his own 15-year-old. Jessica could feel the weight of the news crushing down on her as she pushed the door of the convenience store open, its jingle echoing hollowly behind her. The headline plastered across the evening news was the stuff of nightmares, one that kept parents up with panic twisting their guts. Missing children. And now this. The anchor's voice dripped with horror, detailing a man who resurfaced after years, a sinister figure, shrouded in shadow, lurking in the very streets of Maplewood. Jessica pushed the thought away as she turned her attention to stocking shelves, but it gnawed at her like a parasite. Just last week, Sarah, her 15-year-old daughter, mentioned some charming boy at school. Jessica's heart dropped. This suburban landscape now blurred with a tainted sense of dread. The sound of laughter felt cruel in a world filling with fear. What was so captivating about this boy? And why did Jessica's gut twist when Sarah's laughter faded into whispers late at night? Conversations hushed over phone calls that jolted her from tired sleep. Each hour she toiled away at the store turned into an hour of worrying, and every stolen glance towards the family photos on her phone felt heavier. One dreary night, she found herself replaying security footage from earlier that day. A bitter chill coursed down her spine as she narrowed her eyes at the grainy video. The boy from Sarah's stories, casting an unsettling shadow on her porch, lurked like a predator. Time slowed as she recognized that grotesque familiarity in his frame, a figure she thought she'd locked away in her past. Panic clawed at her throat. Instinct screamed to run, to grab her children and leave this suffocating cage of a neighborhood behind. But the boy, what could he want? Jessica's heartbeat thundered as she reluctantly reached for her phone, only to find the police dismissing her worries. "We're looking into it," they said, their tone bored even as fear gripped her. She returned home, feeling like a pariah in a dimly lit world. The shadows never felt so cold as she confronted Sarah. The desperate tremor in her voice felt like poison. "Who is this boy?" she pressed, each word dripping suspicion. Then, the unthinkable happened. The boy confidently approached her house, and as he stepped into the thin light, he revealed himself. The fleeting glances morphed into memories. This was her estranged father, fresh from prison and haunting her stability, casting shadows in ways she wasn't ready for. Her blood ran cold as he offered a tainted ultimatum masked as familial love. The moment shattered something deep within her. The walls felt like they were caving in. Was this a twisted return, or a sinister trap set from a past she thought she'd escaped? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The shadows outside began to seep closer, echoing her frantic thoughts like a relentless heartbeat drumming in her ears. Fear slipped through her veins like ice, forcing her to act. She dashed down the cold, moonlit streets, her footsteps echoing against the asphalt, memories of playgrounds and children's laughter swirling around her like phantoms. In that suffocating silence, every possible horror crept closer. Her father's face now a mask of darkness that threatened everything. What if he was waiting for the right moment to strike? With each corner she turned, the worry morphed into desperation. Could she really face the brutality of what he had become? The press of danger bled through the chill and, with it, an unsettling feeling that Sarah was already ensnared in a web of deceit. Time hung thick. Every secret felt exposed in the twilight. Jessica's heart pounded faster as she inhaled the creeping dread surrounding her. Would she reach them in time, or was she already too late? Jessica's breath came in ragged gasps as she stumbled through the unforgiving night. The air felt heavy, pressing down on her like a weight, every shadow lurking with malignant intent. A chaotic blend of fear and guilt consumed her, pushing her to keep moving. She couldn't let him take any more from her. As she neared her home, a flickering streetlight threw erratic beams across the sidewalk, twisting the world into a kaleidoscope of terror. She rounded the corner, the familiar sight of their house casting a chilling shadow. Dozens of memories collided in her mind, Sarah's artwork covering the fridge, the sound of her laughter echoing within those walls. But now they felt like ghosts, all buried under dread. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, but she ignored it, her pulse quickening as she desperately searched for signs of life inside. Had her father already gotten to them? Panic clawed at her, and the thought of losing Sarah made her blood run cold. Pushing the door open, she stepped into the dimly lit living room. The silence was deafening. She scanned the room quickly, looking for any sign that her family was safe. The shadows moved like whispers, taunting her with what could happen next. "Sarah," she called out, her voice trembling. Each syllable felt hollow in the stillness. No answer. Nothing but the soft hum of the refrigerator. Her heart raced as she hurried through the rooms, flipping on light switches that felt more like beacons of despair than safety. Hope dimmed with each empty space and vacant chair. What if they were already gone? What if he had lured her daughter away with promises she couldn't resist? Then she heard a soft, muffled sound from the backyard. Chills cascaded down her spine as she edged toward the back door, every creak of the floorboards a shout in the silence. She froze for a split second before deciding. There was no turning back. Jessica flung the door open. The chill of the night air hit her like a slap. Moving cautiously, she stepped into the dark, her eyes scanning for movement. The yard was a sprawl of looming darkness, the wind whispering secrets she dared not understand. Suddenly, a soft laugh floated through the night, a laugh she recognized. It twisted her stomach. "Sarah?" she called out, her voice shaking with urgency. "Mom, this way." Jessica sprinted towards the voice, dread clawing at her throat. She rounded the corner of the house, and there they were. Sarah stood with that boy, her father, beneath the faint glow of a broken streetlight, their figures edged in a sinister silhouette. Every nerve in Jessica's body screamed to pull her daughter away, to protect her. But then she froze, rooted in horror as Sarah looked back at her father, a wide, innocent smile on her face, oblivious to the dark undercurrents swirling between them. "He's just playing, Mom," Sarah said sweetly, her voice laced with the naivety of youth. Jessica's heart sank. Was this a game to them? In that moment, everything felt surreal, teetering on the brink of collapse. The boy reached out, brushing his fingers against Sarah's arm gently, but an unseen tension crackled in the air. Jessica's head spun. She needed to intervene, but dread paralyzed her, arms heavy like lead. "Sarah, come inside." Her voice cracked, tinged with panic. The boy turned slowly, a shadow coiling around his features. "You don't want to interrupt our game," he said, the casualness of his tone twisting her stomach. In that instant, she glimpsed the monster hiding behind his charming facade, and then it hit her. The connection was clear and blinding. This was no ordinary reunion. Jessica steeled herself, heart pounding so hard it felt ready to explode. She had to gather courage while fear threatened to overtake her entirely. "Sarah, now!" But it was too late. The bond between them deepened as shadows closed in, and she realized that she was standing on the precipice of an unspeakable truth. With uncertainty writhing in her stomach, she knew she had a choice to make. What would she risk to save her daughter from the monster lurking in the light? In that moment, a chilling breeze swept over her, carrying more than the scent of fear. It whispered to her a promise of something larger at stake, as menacing possibilities unfurled like snakes in the dark that enveloped her hope. Would she have the strength to confront the truth lurking in the shadows? Jessica's heart pounded in her chest, a wild drum of dread. She realized she had to act. The shadows swirled like black smoke, coiling closer, engulfing not only the yard but her very reason. "Sarah," she screamed again, more desperate now. The boy laughed softly, a laugh that sent shudders crawling up her spine. "She's happy here, Mom. Isn't that all that matters?" Facing both Sarah and the boy, she felt like a ghost in her own life, watching it slip away. But she couldn't just stand and lose them both. "You need to come inside," she said, fighting to keep her voice steady. though it wavered like a flickering candle. "We can play games inside, too. Just come closer, honey." The dim light caught Sarah's gleaming eyes, innocent and untainted. Yet the way she lingered by that boy made Jessica's stomach churn. "It's fun out here, Mom. We're making stories." "Stop it, Sarah," Jessica said, the urgency clawing at her throat. "Don't listen to him." As if conjured by her words, the boy's smile twisted, darkening into something malicious. He leaned in close, whispering words just out of Jessica's earshot, but she could see Sarah's head nodding, the faintest glimmer of excitement in her expression. "What are you telling her?" Jessica hissed, stepping forward. Fear coursed through her, as raw as the night itself. Shadows danced menacingly around them, and the more she focused, the more she sensed a deeper darkness at play. "Just things that make her smile," the boy replied, cocking his head, the moonlight illuminating the sharpness of his features. There was no innocence lurking there. Only pretense. A cold wave of realization washed over Jessica. What if this was a game to him? What if the addicting thrill fed something far darker? "Sarah, please let us go back. Now." "Mom, you don't understand." Jessica felt the world tilt again, the web of desperation tightening. Every instinct screamed at her to pull Sarah away. But as she took a step closer, the boy raised a hand. "You don't want to disrupt her imagination, do you? Imagination, or something vile festering beneath." Suddenly, the backyard shifted. The shadows morphed, growing thicker and more indiscernible, almost alive in their hunger. The wind howled like a banshee, wrapping tendrils around Jessica's legs, threatening to pull her back. "Get inside, Sarah. Now." But something shifted in Sarah's eyes. The light that once glimmered with innocence flickered, dulled. The boy glanced back at her, his expression smug, like he held some unspoken power over Sarah. Jessica's heart raced as confusion clouded her daughter's features. "But Mom, no," she shouted, more forceful. "He is not what you think he is. You don't know him. He is dangerous." A split-second silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. The boy's laughter echoed, hollow and chilling. "You're wrong, Jessica. She knows me better than you do." That name, the invocation, sent a chill racing down her spine. It was as if he had plucked it from thin air, the words slithering through the crisp night. "Who are you?" she breathed, the question clawing its way out, steeped in terror. "Just a friend," he responded, the mockery edging his voice. "One who plays by different rules." Tension crackled around them as Sarah took a step closer to the boy, entranced. Jessica felt her stomach drop, panic rising like bile. "Sarah." The boy stared, a challenge in his gaze. "You could join us, you know. There's a place for you too. Don't you dare." Jessica lunged forward, instincts twisting her body into a shield toward her daughter. But as she moved, shadows converged, swirling violently. The moment shattered as a myriad of voices filled the air, overlapping and unintelligible. The whispers of countless lost souls intertwined with the chilling laughter ringing out through the grotesque darkness. "Mom!" Sarah cried, her voice cutting through the din. Then all fell silent. Jessica's breath caught in her throat. In the eerie stillness, realization dawned and dread slid into her bones. She had to choose. Would she fight the darkness creeping around her family, or would she lose everything to the shadows? That twisted and turned with sinister delight. And then, looming from the shadows, a new figure emerged behind the boy, shrouded in darkness. A deeper nightmare was awakening. Time to decide, Jessica. What had she unleashed? What would she be willing to lose to save her daughter from this unimaginable nightmare? The shadows thickened, swirling into monstrous shapes, feeding off the tension that crackled between them. Jessica squinted into the darkness, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her chest. The new figure took a step forward, and as it did, a cold rush of air swept through the yard, carrying with it the scent of decay. "Who are you?" Jessica demanded, her voice barely a whisper, trembling as though the very night were listening. The figure stood tall, radiating a sinister strength, its features obscured by a deep hood. But the voice, deep and resonant, pierced through the veil of shadows. I am the guardian of these lost dreams, it said, each word dripping with a chilling certainty. The keeper of those who wander too close to the edge. You would do well to heed his call. Jessica felt bile rise in her throat. This was beyond a child's game. It was a battle for her very soul. Sarah, she cried, reaching out with trembling hands. Come back to me. But the child stood frozen, eyes locked on the boy, an enchanted marionette caught in an unseen grip. The boy grinned wider, a grin that could only be described as sickeningly sweet, like candy-coated poison. She doesn't want to, Jessica. She doesn't need you anymore. Stop. Jessica's scream shattered in the closing darkness, but it barely echoed. The atmosphere surged and shifted, breathing around her, taunting her helplessness. Why should she return to a world of dullness when here she can fly? The boy crowed, his laughter slicing through the freezing air. We share the truth, the wonder, the imagination you try to stifle. With every word, Jessica battled against the crippling doubt flooding in. Was she the one stifling Sarah's spirit? No, this was not her daughter, not anymore. Whatever spell had ensnared her had to be broken. We can imagine together, she pleaded, heart racing. We can build castles in the sky, anywhere, together. But the darkness quivered, and the shadows surged angrily, warping Jessica's plea into something grotesque. Sarah knows what freedom really is, the boy taunted. Why cling to a past that no longer serves her? Let her go, Jessica. Set her free. Behind him, the hooded figure watched, unwavering, reveling in the turmoil. Jessica's mind swirled with questions and fear. Could one decision unravel everything? Was it even her choice to make anymore? The boy's voice was syrupy smooth now. You see, the moment she found me, she was lost, it was over. But know this, Jessica, you're welcome to join her. Our world is rich beyond your imagination. The shadows began to undulate, creeping closer, fingers of darkness wrapping around Jessica's limbs, chilling her to the bone. What lay beyond this twisted facade? The boy's promise sounded tantalizing, yet sinister. Jessica clenched her fists, resolve setting like iron in her chest. I'll never give you my daughter. Suddenly, an ear-splitting crack echoed through the night. A lightning flash lit up the yard, revealing a glimpse of the haunted faces within the shadows, lost, sorrowful souls pleading silently for release. Jessica staggered back, the sight tearing at her heart. Don't you see? The hooded figure rasped. You can't fight the inevitable. Sarah belongs here now with us. While you scramble in the dark, freedoms await her. Waves of remorse crashed over Jessica. She loved Sarah. She couldn't let this darkness win. As her feet sunk deeper into the ghastly shadows, she remembered the stories they shared, the laughter and the warmth of being together. A fierce longing ignited inside her, a fire against this freezing tide. Get away from her, she roared, charging forward against the cold tendrils wrapping around her. But the shapes coiled tighter, tearing familiarity into despair. Sarah's gaze flickered, a servant to a burgeoning darkness. Would the light of Jessica's love pierce the suffocating veil? As Jessica fought against the shadows, straining to reach her daughter, a blinding flash engulfed them, time stopping, space bending, and in that moment, everything hung in the balance. Would she be able to reclaim her daughter from the depths of this malevolence, or was it already too late? The blinding light faded into an oppressive darkness, suffocating and thick. Jessica blinked, trying to gather her bearings, only to find that the boy and his shadowy companions had vanished, leaving her alone in the silence. The air felt heavy, as though the world around her was holding its breath. Sarah, she called, voice cracking, desperation lacing her words as she waded through the shadow-soaked yard. Every creak of the wind felt like sinister laughter echoing from the empty corners. The inky blackness twisted around her, remnants of what had once been terrifying and now felt delightfully sinister. She stumbled forward, feeling the earth shift and swirl beneath her feet, as if urging her to join the lost souls. Where are you? The words barely escaped her lips, heavy with fear. And then she saw her, at the edge of the yard, where the darkness met the flickering light of the nearby street lamp, Sarah stood like a forgotten doll, frozen and utterly still. The boy's enchanting grip seemed to linger in her posture, a puppet bound by tightly drawn strings. Instinct kicked in, and Jessica surged toward her daughter, stretching her arms wide. "I'm here. Baby, please." As she approached, the shadows coalesced, erupting into grotesque forms, howl-like whispers swirling around Jessica like a swarm of disturbed bees. Each step felt like it was weighed down by an unseen force, dragging her back into the depths. Unyielding panic seized her heart, but as she sank into despair, something caught her eye. Sarah's gaze flickered, betraying a glimmer of recognition, a spark of the girl she once knew. "Mom," the word escaped Sarah, slow and hesitant, barely a whisper. But it was enough. A thread of hope wrapped around Jessica's heart. Let her go. Let her make her choice. But those words crumbled and echoed into the abyss, swallowed by the shadows that twisted and flared around her. Suddenly, a howl emerged from the depths. "You think you can break the bond? You're too late." The hooded figure reappeared, sweeping through the darkness with an aggressive grace, its voice booming like thunder. "Your love is weak here. We thrive on whispers of despair, the breaking of bonds. The shadows claim all." Despite the fear, something shifted within Jessica. The weight of uncertainty and sullenness felt lift. "Shadows can't claim love." The words came out stronger now, a mantra ignited by desperation, her voice a rallying cry against the tide. "Sarah, you are not lost. You are with me." Slowly, as though an invisible barrier was cracking, Sarah blinked. Her eyes no longer glazed over but filled with a fierce determination. "Mom!" She cried out now, her voice slicing through the darkness. "Run to me." But as Sarah moved, the boy erupted from the darkness, a quicksilver flicker of malicious delight. "You'll regret this, Jessica. You can't have her back." Jessica's heart raced, and with every pulse, she stepped further into the fray, reaching towards her daughter. "I will always fight for you." The darkness hesitated, swelling and swirling, revealing glimpses of the yearning souls behind it, a chorus of muted cries mingling in the night. "Freedom, it's not a gift," the hooded figure whispered, a lilt of panic edging its voice. "It's a burden." A sudden surge of energy rippled through Jessica. The barrier of shadows shifted, swirling wildly in chaos, flickering around them like a storm. "Sarah, take my hand," Jessica shouted, feeling the faintest glimmer of power surge through her. In that moment, the boy smiled, a web of shadows coiling around him, preparing to snap back and claim both mother and daughter, together forever, or forever lost. With renewed resolve, Jessica pushed through the cacophony, teeth clenched, determination raging. All around them, the darkness pulsed, thrashed against her will. What will remain when the shadows claim you both? The specter of fear loomed, but Jessica stood unyielding, ready for the battle that hovered like a tempest. Did love possess the strength to conquer the gloom? As she grasped for Sarah's hand, time twisted again. Light appeared as their hands nearly touched. Then shadows surged, threatening to engulf them both. Would Jessica's fierce love prevail, or would the darkness drag them into its eternal grip? The darkness surged around them, tightening like a noose. Jessica reached for Sarah, her heart pounding like a war drum, but every inch felt impossible. Their fingers were millimeters apart, the thin veil of light flickering with every breath. "Mom!" Sarah's voice trembled, a plea that sliced through the ghastly choir of whispered agony surrounding them. The shadows writhed, a living entity eager to swallow their light. "Focus on me," Jessica shouted, forcing her own fear aside. "You're stronger than this. You have to fight." But the boy laughed, a cold, hollow sound that sent chills creeping down Jessica's spine. "Fight? How can you fight the inevitable? The shadows have claimed many before you. A mother's love means nothing here. This is my domain." The shadows coiled, dark tendrils wrapping around Jessica's legs, as if trying to anchor her to this realm of despair. With every attempt to step forward, the weight grew heavier. Each breath labored as dread seized her throat. "Hold on, sweetheart," she screamed, summoning every ounce of strength she possessed. We are more powerful than they can understand. The boy smirked, his eyes gleaming like shards of glass in the dimness. He snapped his fingers, and the ground trembled, the earth beneath them cracking like an old film reel fraying at the edges. "Mom!" Sarah strained to move, the shadows pulling her back, their grip vice-like. "Help me!" Jessica felt desperation clawing at her insides. She couldn't lose her child. Not now. Not ever. And yet, the shadows whispered to her seductive words wrapped in despair. "Join us, it's easier to give in." With a bellowing roar, the hooded figure extended its arms. "Your love is weak, Jessica. You underestimate our power." The shadows burst forth, swirling violently, transforming into distorted faces filled with anguish, their mouths open in silent screams. Visions of despair flickered before Jessica's eyes, failed attempts at connections, broken families, lost dreams. Each image was a dagger aimed at her heart, an onslaught meant to weaken her resolve. But something ignited within her. "You are not lost," she yelled, channeling her energy into her words. "Your love is not weak. It's fierce. It's unbreakable." In an instant, the ground beneath them sang in resonance. The shadows recoiled, flaring with violence but not with power. Jessica felt that familiar surge, a connection that demanded not just strength, but unity. "Take my hand," she cried, extending her arm as if it were made of iron, unwavering. For a heartbeat, the world stood still. A flicker of determination flashed in Sarah's eyes. With one swift motion, she broke free of the shadow's grasp, lunging toward her mother. "Mom!" They clasped hands, warmth rushing through them like an electric jolt. Instantaneously, the darkness screamed, twisting as if trying to recoil from the bond they had forged. But the boy wasn't finished. "No!" he howled, furious and wild. And without warning, the shadows exploded, sending them tumbling backwards, the light flickering and dimming. Jessica felt the ground drop beneath her as if the very earth had betrayed her, dragging her away from Sarah. "No!" she screamed, grasping for her daughter. But the distance widened, shadowy walls closing in. The hooded figure loomed above, almost gloating. "What will you sacrifice to save her?" Jessica's heart raced, pounding out a frantic rhythm against her ribcage. The shadows surged, a palpable anguish filled the air, and then silence stretched out like a breath held too long. "Run, Sarah, run!" But the darkness laughed, deep and sonorous, as Sarah's face contorted in fear. "Mom!" In that instant, Jessica's heart stopped. Would love be a weight dragging them down, or could it be the anchor that held them above the abyss? As the shadows rose like a tidal wave, preparing to crash over them, one question loomed in the air, chilling and terrible. Would they drown in sorrow, or break free into the light? Everything teetered on the brink. An unseen choice lingered, dark and foreboding. What price would Jessica pay to protect her child? The shadows recoiled violently as Jessica and Sarah's hands clasped. But the boy's laughter boomed like thunder, reverberating off all solid surfaces. "You think your little miracle will save you?" he taunted, stepping closer. The air was thick with malice, a fader of something descendant and ancient. "You're so naive." The ground shook harder, and Jessica stumbled. She pulled Sarah close, their hearts racing in unison. But the boy's candles flickered with an otherworldly breeze. She could feel the dark tendrils crawling, creeping around her ankles, eager to ensnare them both. "Mom!" Sarah's eyes shone in fear. "What's happening?" All at once, a beam of blinding light erupted from where they stood, illuminating the shadowy landscape and revealing faces twisted in torment. Jessica's heart pounded in her ears as she tried to shield Sarah from the misery circling them. "We need to keep fighting," she cried, panic edging her voice. But Sarah was frozen, her gaze fixed beyond her mother's shoulder. "Mom, look!" Jessica turned, and a chilling sight greeted her. Figures emerged out of the shadows, lost souls, pleading for release. They struggled, reaching toward the mother and daughter, their forms flickering like dying embers. "Help us," they rasped. "We were betrayed by the darkness." "Betrayed?" Jessica whispered, confusion wrestling with dread. The boy grinned, revealing teeth that seemed unnatural, sharp like shards of ice. Yes. Feed on their sorrow, he shouted, motioning for the lost souls to come forth. Drink from their despair. They belong to me. No, Jessica yelled, horror clawing at her throat. You will not take us. With every ounce of love pouring through her veins, she squeezed Sarah's hand tighter. You are stronger than this. Despite everything they promise, love is our only weapon. But the boy stepped back, eyes glittering with malevolence. Then watch as I break you. With a swift, jerky motion, he raised his arms, and shadows shrieked, swirling around them like a monstrous cyclone. Jessica felt Sarah flinch beside her. The wind of agony howled through the darkness. Mom, hold on. In that moment, everything exploded. The shadows crashed around them, and Jessica felt something sharp nick at her mind, breaking through her defenses. She gasped, memories bursting forth, an old family photo, laughter at a picnic, the sweet aroma of blooming flowers. But then darkness swallowed those memories, churning them into doubt. Your memories mean nothing, the boy bellowed amidst the cacophony. This is your end. But Jessica gritted her teeth, every muscle in her body pulling tighter. I won't let it be so. No, Sarah cried out, her voice breaking through the horror that surrounded them. Mom, remember the night at the lake? The mention of their sacred moment jolted Jessica's heart. Together, Sarah shouted, fueling Jessica's resolve. Remember how it felt? The light, the love? And like a match meeting kindling, a spark ignited in them. Jessica felt warmth rushing through her as she held onto Sarah. They were not in this alone. Please, she shouted into the void, defying the boy. We are more than this darkness. Our love is a light that won't falter. The shadows recoiled momentarily, wails and whimpers merging into a symphony of agony. For the briefest moment, it felt tangible, the power surging through them. It felt real. But then the boy laughed again, a manic sound echoing in the darkness. You're fighting a battle you cannot win. I'll show you what it means to be lost. And within the storm of despair, the ground beneath them cracked wide open, swallowing light and hope. The air turned icy, burning Jessica's lungs. Fear gripped her heart as the earth trembled. Their bond felt fragile and wavering, as the abyss yawned beneath them. Hold on, Sarah. But before she could finish, the ground shattered, and they plunged into the darkness, screams echoing wildly, drowning out hope and purpose as the chasm swallowed them. One singular thought enveloped Jessica's mind. Was love a light strong enough to guide them through this shadow-laden void? From the abyss rose the question, spinning around them like sharp blades. Would they be consumed by the darkness, or could they reclaim their light amidst the horror? The darkness swallowed them whole, a vacuum of sound and sensation pulling them under like an endless tide. Jessica gripped Sarah's hand with all her might, her knuckles pale and straining. Then, abruptly, silence fell. The kind of chilling silence that buzzed in the ears, replacing the cacophony of chaos they'd just known. Jessica peered into the black void, trying to find anything, a hint of light, a whisper of safety. Nothing. Just an oppressive emptiness that felt alive around them. Mom? Sarah's voice trembled, cutting through the bleak stillness. I can't see anything. I know, sweetheart. Just hold on, Jessica murmured, forcing her voice to remain steady. We'll find our way back. Promise. But doubt gnawed at her heart. The boy's laughter echoed in her mind, resonating like a dark promise. What if this is it? She pondered, battling the swell of panic. What if this darkness consumes us? A sudden chill wrapped tighter around them, sending shards of ice down Jessica's spine. Shadows flickered at the edges of her vision. Visceral images of twisted faces, eyes wide with terror, flitted in and out like a dying bulb. The lost souls. They were still here, never-ending, always waiting. Mom, look. Sarah pointed into the abyss, her voice an urgent whisper as Jessica followed her daughter's gaze. A faint shimmering glimmer materialized in the distance. It pulsed, a weak heartbeat in the vastness of nothingness. Intrigued, They moved toward it, the darkness growing denser with each step. The shimmering morphed into flickers of color, vibrant and fluid, a stark contrast to the shadows engulfing them. Just a bit closer, Jessica urged, her heart beating faster. But as they approached, the radiant light rippled, distorting into faces, voices flooding with desperate pleas. Help us! Save us! They clawed at the light, trapped in a torment of their own making, eyes glistening with unshed tears. Mom, we have to help them, Sarah cried, her innocence a sharp blade against the oppressive despair surrounding them. No, we have to stay focused, Jessica snapped, the weight of their situation forcing her into a measured response. We can't save everyone. We don't even know what they are. They're just like us. They need us. Sarah's eyes welled with tears, her small hands trembling in Jessica's grip. Maybe they know a way out? Jessica's urgency merged with desperation as the soul's anguish seeped into her heart. If we can just reach the light together, Sarah echoed, squeezing Jessica's hand tighter. But the shimmering light shivered, a low hum filling the air with a sinister tone. Together, the lost souls echoed, their wails rising like a tide. What a foolish idea. You think you're safe? Join us. Embrace the despair. It's easier here. No, I want tea, Jessica shouted, her resolve reigniting. The boy's laughter pierced her thoughts, countered now by the determined pulse of her daughter's hand in her own. I refuse to lose you to this. Listen to her. A deep voice emerged from the shadows, cracking like thunder. Love doesn't just save you. It binds you. Can be a curse. Jessica felt the ground tremble anew. What do you mean? She gasped, eyes darting around for the source. You must choose. The voice rumbled, slipping like mercury from the shadows. In the dark, love is a sin and a salvation. Will you feed the darkness or fight it? A choice hung in the air, ripe with consequence. Jessica closed her eyes, taking a breath so heavy it felt like drowning. Her heart raced, blurring the edges of her resolve. Could love truly be a weapon? Or was it their greatest vulnerability? As the shadows drew closer, wrapping around their feet again, whispering forgotten promises, Jessica felt a pull, the boy's laughter echoing from the depths of despair. Choose wisely, the voice hissed. All at once, Jessica understood. They were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their very souls. The moment stretched, suffocating and heavy. Would love shield them, or would it consume them whole? The darkness surged, ready to swallow them again. Suddenly Sarah turned to Jessica, wide-eyed. Mom, look, and there it was, a crack in the darkness, revealing flickers of light. But was it hope, or more deceit? With dread gripping her heart, Jessica was left with one terrifying question. Was the light truly salvation, or another trap of the shadows? As they stood on the precipice, the echoes of the past began to fold around them again. What awaited them beyond that thin barrier of light? Time stood still, and with it the darkness whispered, "Go ahead, take the leap." Jessica's heart thundered in her chest, the crack in the darkness pulsating like a warning siren. She could hardly catch her breath as the shadows writhed around them, threatening to consume their last shred of hope. What do we do, Mom? Sarah's voice trembled, tight with fear. Just believe, Jessica whispered, her thoughts racing. The flickers of light danced tantalizingly close, yet the darkness clawed at them, urging her to turn back. What if we just... Sarah started, but Jessica cut her off. No. Jessica's voice sliced through the silence, fierce and shaky. We can't let these souls trick us. They want us to join them in their anguish. We need to reach the light. The murmur from the darkness twisted around them. So brave, yet so naive. It was the same voice that had boomed through the void earlier, echoing their worst fears. Do you really think love will save you? It only defines your chains. Jessica felt the shadows tight against her, cold and suffocating. I refuse to believe that, she shot back, trembling in defiance. Love is stronger than any fear you can conjure. Suddenly, the light grew brighter, pulsing insistently. The faces emerged again, vivid and contorted, their cries melding into one horrid symphony. Join us. Let the darkness embrace you. Feel none of this pain. They seemed to stretch their hands toward them, fingers beckoning, each touch a promise of release from suffering. But it was a deceit laced with despair. Jessica could almost grab the essence of it, the dark core that churned underneath. Mom, I think. Sarah hesitated, her eyes reflecting the flickering despair. What if they know a way out? No, sweetie. Jessica's heart ached as she sensed her daughter's wavering faith. We can't trust them. It's a trap. Still, her resolve wobbled. The darkness wrapped tighter, whispering hidden truths and flooding her with doubt. Without warning, the shadows surged forward, blurring the edges of the world around them, twisting reality. Your love makes you vulnerable. Come, let us guide you. Jessica felt a pulse in the ground, a throbbing beat that matched her own frantic heart. Panic twisted in her chest as the shimmering light morphed again. This time it promised clarity, safety, maybe even happiness. But there was a heaviness in her gut that she couldn't shake. Don't listen to them, Sarah, she urged, gripping her daughter's hand tighter, ignoring the warmth of magic pulsating from the crack. But Sarah turned toward the glow, captivated, her eyes widening as if understanding something Jessica did not. Mom, listen, it's just light. Can't you feel it? It's calling to us. No, Sarah, it's all a trick. Jessica felt bile rise as the weight of their situation bore down, a crushing reminder of their vulnerability. Think about the souls trapped here. They can't escape. We won't end up like them. The air thickened as the shadows hissed, almost in laughter. Fear is your cage, but love is the key. The voice was a siren song, seductive and already reaching for them. As the light flickered again, brighter still, a beacon cutting through eternity, Jessica's heart raced. You have to choose, baby. Stay with me. Focus. But her words felt feeble, melting into the rushing dark that as Sarah lingered at the threshold. Caught in the promise of the glimmering light, a sharp crackle resonated through the air, splitting the ground. Jessica knew they were running out of time. Mom! Sarah's grip was faltering. I want to go. No, yelled Jessica, pulling her back. We can't go without knowing what's truly on the other side. We don't know what awaits us. But Sarah was already moving closer, entranced, drawn to the light that felt more alive than any warmth had in the dark. Stop! Don't! Jessica's voice cracked, her breath quickening as the ground trembled beneath them. Please don't leave me. The weight of dread echoed in her hollow chest as her scream tore through the silence. Time hung hanging by a thread, and the darkness breathed in, ready to swallow them both whole, hungry for the taste of their fear. Would you risk it all for love? The shadows whispered, knowing the heartache they were planting. And in that moment, Jessica realized. The true horror wasn't just the darkness surrounding them, it was what they might lose if they stepped willingly into the unknown. Mom! Sarah's terrified shout shattered the stillness, unexpectedly near, firm, clawing through the fear. What choice would they make when love summoned them into the light, yet threatened everything they fought for? The oppressive shadows seemed to close in, obscuring even the fleeting hope, as the light flickered one last time, bright and blinding. Would they leap into salvation or fall forever into despair? An unearthly laughter echoed in the void. Choose wisely. The darkness clung tighter, waiting, breathing, ready. Jessica lurched forward, feeling every thread of hope and fear knotting tightly in her chest. Sarah, please. Her voice trembled, a threadbare plea lodged desperately in the suffocating dark. You have to trust me. But Sarah stood frozen, wide-eyed with a mix of fear and yearning. The brilliance beyond the shadows flickered again, so close yet so tantalizingly out of reach. Felt like a warm embrace calling her home. Mom, I want to go to the light. No, don't you see? That might be the darkness hiding behind a facade. It's a trick. Jessica's heart pounded a wild rhythm, and fear surged through her as she realized the truth of what could happen. The boy's laughter echoed in her memory, deep and sinister, mocking her desire to protect her child. The ground trembled beneath them, teetering on the edge of extinction. We can't. Not until we understand it. We can't risk ourselves, but as if to drown her out, the shadows bulged and pulsed, eager tendrils reaching out, pulling them in with a chilling hunger. With newfound strength, Jessica gripped Sarah's hand, anchoring them both amid the writhing darkness. "Do you remember when we would pretend we could fly?" Jessica asked, trying to weave warmth through the cold fear as fleeting memories surged. "Those days by the lake. We promised to always be there for each other." The flicker in Sarah's gaze betrayed a crack in the darkness, a glimpse of her younger self beaming with innocence. "But what if the light really is the way out?" "No, sweet pea," Jessica said softly, feeling her heart tear at the thought. "We can't turn our backs on each other. Not now." Suddenly, the shadows hissed, circling around them like a storm. "Love is a chain, an anchor that will drown you." "Mom!" Sarah's voice quivered, battling against the tempest. "Help me. Just let me go. I want to be free." Tears blurred Jessica's vision as she fought to maintain her grip. "Freedom isn't what it seems. It means nothing if we're torn apart. Look at the faces in the light. They're struggling just like us." At that moment, the pulsating light twisted and warped, revealing half-formed faces reaching out in desperation and despair, eyes pleading with unspoken urgency. "Mom, they need us," Sarah cried, but Jessica sensed a twisted charm deep within the light that sent chills down her spine. "No, Sarah, listen to me. We can't save those souls by losing ourselves." Jessica took a step closer, breathing in sharply. "We can fight together." "Together," Sarah echoed, her longing wrapped tightly around her mother's words. "Promise me, no matter what, we'll hold on to each other," Jessica whispered, bracing herself against the pull of the calling light. "I promise," Sarah responded as the shadows shrieked in protest, the cacophony growing until it felt like a living thing, hungry and menacing. With a fierce determination, Jessica pulled Sarah closer. "We fight against this. We will not let them win." The darkness roared, coiling tightly around them, tightening its grip. Jessica could feel the pressure weighing heavily, yet she forced her spirit higher. "Love will conquer. It has to." Sarah screamed as the shadows surged, a whirlwind of anguished cries clamoring for their attention. But Jessica kept her focus trained on her daughter, her heart fiercely unyielding. "Take my hand." With cascading resolve, Jessica reached out and felt warmth ignite between them. In that moment, the shadows recoiled, a primal scream ripping through the air. The ground shook violently, writhing beneath their feet, but the connection between them only brightened like a beacon cutting through the dark. "Together," Jessica shouted. "No more fear, just love." The shadows groaned, twisting and writhing, but Jessica's heart surged with tenacity. As she and Sarah interconnected their fingers, light burst forth, illuminating the world around them in a brilliant display. The boy's derisive laughter ricocheted in the backdrop as he struggled against the pulsing brilliance. "You think you can break free?" "Yes," Jessica shouted. "We are stronger than you'll ever know." The light glimmered tightly around them, radiating off the horrid wails that filled the morning night. With an explosive force, the light encased them so bright it felt like a new dawn breaking against an interminable night. The shadows recoiled and writhed, the imprints of lost souls scattered as if pushed away by a rising tide. And then silence. The darkness began to dissipate like smoke dispersing in a gentle breeze, leaving only a gentle glow behind. Jessica and Sarah stood at the center, eyes wide with wonder. Through sobbing breaths, they could see the dawning light taking form, breaking through the fabric of despair and painting the horizon with hope. "Mom, we did it." Sarah's voice trembled with a mixture of disbelief and fervent joy. "Yes," Jessica breathed, her heart overflowing. Together, as they stepped forward, hand in hand, warmth enveloped them. The remnants of shadows faded behind receding whispers of despair dwindling into nothingness. They moved toward the light, embracing it, as it sparkled and embraced their very essence. The world began to heal around them, laughter echoing through familiar sounds, a promise of homecoming stoked by the light blooming in the sky. And as Jessica turned to Sarah, the true weight of their victory washed over her like a tide of relief. There's nothing that can tear us apart again. Her daughter smiled, the innocence shining brightly once more. I love you, Mom. I love you too, sweetheart. Always. Together, they stepped into the growing light, a sanctuary that felt like freedom, surrounded by warmth and safety. This was their rebirth, an escape from the shadows that once haunted them, daughter and mother unbreakable. Now that the journey has come to a close, I have to tell you how crucial your support really is. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And for real, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your actions matter. Help us keep the light shining bright.